If guys aren't coming up to you after Mass to ask for your number, it means you're not dropping enough handkerchiefs. How the heck did I end up making videos about love and dating? This is the definition of the blind leading the blind. But here we are, and let me explain. I think if you go back and see all my videos, they really have always kind of tiptoed around these issues. And ultimately, if I only had one more video, which I doubt this is going to be my last video, by the way, but if I only had one more video, then I would really lean onto that. And that's what I did accidentally for the last, 8 months now, which in my defense, it kind of started last season. So we had a YouTube season, which no one saw. Great. It was so awkward. But it was really just me trying to pivot into English, first of all, because a bunch of my videos before that were Spanish. But it was also about pivoting into a much more intentional approach to my faith. And so the videos I was recording while I was in the background training and doing all sorts of intense workouts, but it was my reflections. It was things I was praying about. And so I had a whole script on how I was praying, reflecting, and filming on God, love, joy, purpose, and discipline, or something like that. And the more I started reflecting on those 5 things and filming and creating scripts around that, the more I kept circling back into the idea of loneliness and the idea of love and friendship. And eventually, one of my videos, the one on handkerchiefs, was the first one to go viral. Although I think maybe there was a similar one, which we'll talk about. But it was just a playful approach, things that are so hurtful, so painful, and sometimes so hopeless. And so approaching it from a practical, optimistic perspective in a way that is actionable, that we can all easily improve, easily pivot, or at least realize that other people share the same struggle as us and that we're not alone. And I made that video in a fun, playful, even kind of joking manner. And a lot of people liked it. And I think it kind of forced the calling on me, because now I have to record on this issue that I had been reflecting and filming for a couple months, though, for a couple years or a couple decades, intentionally and publicly, at least started last year. So I guess let's lean into it. And this is what this season is going to be about on our YouTube channel. And we'll be talking about the art of dropping handkerchiefs, or at least this reflection on how we should, as Catholics or Christians in general out there, should approach this idea of dating, of friendship, and most importantly, of vocation, discerning vocation, which means the purpose of our lives in a way that's much more aligned with the innermost calling of our soul. And so let's dig into it. So what does a handkerchief have to do with any of this, by the way? If guys aren't approaching you to ask for your number, it means you're not dropping enough handkerchiefs. By the way, there's 2 types of handkerchiefs, which are desperation and neediness handkerchiefs versus the blessing or holy handkerchiefs, I like to call them. Very, very important distinction. And one of them works wonders. The other one does not work at all. A handkerchief, if you really think about it, is this old historic form of interrupting someone to spark up conversation out in public. And that's when ladies would drop their handkerchiefs accidentally to get the attention of someone they wanted to be approached by. And so it was a great conversation starter with purpose. Being able to bring people into the present moment. People are so busy nowadays. Everyone is out and about, busy, trying to get all of their chores and work and stuff done, which, hey, fair enough, we're all busy. But everyone is also at the same time kind of suffering with loneliness and wishing or dreaming about more human connection, about more friendships, about love, about finding the right person for them. But we're all so busy that we're not noticing the beauty of life. And so handkerchiefs, more than a way to get the attention of someone we're attracted to, becomes a super powerful weapon in bringing people into the present so that they can enjoy the beauty of the moment and the beauty of a connection with you and with those around you. It cannot be faked, by the way. If we should practice this and we should get better at it. If you're going out and only trying to get attention from people that you're very attracted to while you're feeling lonely and desperate, then people are going to notice that so fast, and it's not going to work. And so there's, I guess, two ways of doing this. There's the idea that many of us think about, which is doing this for strangers. Like even just a smile, like giving a smile to a stranger, like making good, solid eye contact, flirtatious or not flirtatious, with a stranger is so foreign to most people now. Everyone's so trapped in their phones and so bad at these normal, historic ways of being present, of bringing joy to the places we went. And so eye contact, smiling, saying hi, sparking up conversation, noticing something cool about someone and telling them, all sorts of ways of showing friendship, even to people that we don't even know. Some of them will result in romantic opportunities, by the way, but it will only work if you're doing this with everyone. If you only do this with people you're interested in romantically, is never going to bring you romantic love, except from like bad prospects. But if you're doing this with everyone, especially people that you're not attracted to, romantically, that is, then you will become magnetic and attract even people that you are attracted to. But you can't do it for that reason. You have to do it because you're embodying the principles of Christ. You're embodying the principles of charity and generosity and love. By the way, this matters even more, not in random places with strangers, but in the ways we commit to relationships and ministries. And so a handkerchief that is even more powerful than these random acts of love that we do out and about is the decision to join an organization, to attend an event, to commit to friendships beyond saying hi once, but actually following up and bringing joy and uplifting people that we've already been cultivating in friendship with, giving them quality time, giving them service of all sorts, compliments, words of affirmation. People we're already building something with, and organizations and ministries where we're volunteering, especially our parish. So the question becomes, are you the type of person that is overflowing this positive love and charity, not just randomly, but strategically? And that becomes the most powerful way of the art of dropping and being a handkerchief in itself. Which brings me to the next question of where we find our people. Imagine if every parish had a singles happy hour after Mass on Sundays, and you could go to different parish every weekend and meet new people and make new friends. Imagine how cool that would be. Instead of bar hopping, we would do church hopping. This is actually another video I made. And the whole question about this, and I think the reason why it was so viral is because the question that we're trying to ask is, where do Catholics meet each other? Where do good Christians meet each other? And it's not at the nightclubs. It's not at the bars. It's not at least it's not happening easily in the places we normally frequent. And in this day and age, where being Catholic or living Christian values is so countercultural, it's not going to happen by luck, even though it could, and God could bless us, but it really requires intentionality. It requires that we not only go out looking for it, but that we align the way we're living with our lifestyle. And that's so hard. Trust me, I understand and I know. So the question then becomes, where do we meet those people? How do we start aligning our lives and surrounding ourselves with the kind of people that would really light us on fire, light our soul on fire? And some of them will even be people that we could build friendships with and build families with, instead of relying on luck, of hoping someone out there in the wild that we're meeting through work or through nightlife will share our faith and our beliefs and we want to raise our kids the same way. I think we could get lucky again. God could bless us, but we really have to be intentional in how we cultivate that in our day-to-day so that it is actually more likely to happen. So where do Catholics meet each other? And the big answer is through ministry. It's through parish life. So how do we get involved? And how do we get involved in a place where we'll probably meet people that we vibe with, that we get along with, that share interests beyond our faith and our values, who share interests and passions and personality types that will excite us to also go out and get something to eat with, to get a drink with, to go dancing with, to go playing sports with outside of parish life. So it's not just about service. It's about how do we find people that will excite us to live life with. And that's a really hard answer, but it really does go back to ministry. Like we have to kind of force us to get involved in young adult groups, in the choirs, in the Knights of Columbus, in the Bible studies, and they're not readily available. Like we have to go find them. We have to figure out what's going on in our parish and then in the diocese, what events are coming up, what retreats are coming up, what pilgrimages are coming up. And again, it's not easy, but we have to start. And once we start rolling in, it's again really hard to keep showing up, because the first couple times we might not meet anyone who we would be friends with. We might not fit in. Our personality might be so different from the typical charisma of Catholics in our neighborhood or in our parish or in our city. And so it's going to take time, but you have to be committed to it. That's why it's a handkerchief, because this requires discipline, it requires patience, it requires charity. Like our ability to serve alongside and to give up our time and our free weekends and our energy, which is already limited, to serve in places where we're not fitting in quite, is really tough, and it requires a lot of love. That's why the whole concept of a handkerchief, again, comes in so handy here. Which brings me to the concept of overflow. This concept of handkerchiefs from the perspective of overflow in the theology of the body. So again, are you approaching love and dating from a position of thirst and desperation? Or are you approaching it from a position of abundance and overflow? So a random fact, I never get hit on or approached by beautiful ladies out in the wild as much as when I've been in relationships. And I never get invited to activities, to social plans of any kind, as much as when I already have a lot to do on a certain weekend. So why, and this is not some like energy kind of thing, like there's a reason that is deeply connected to our faith and to our values. And I really think it's around the concept of the theology of the body. So the theology of the body here, and I'm still learning a lot about it, but it's the whole concept of becoming a gift, a self-gift. We get to enjoy and to really take pleasure in the love that is cultivated as we are giving it away. So imagine we're like a cup, and we have this liquid magma inside. It's not magma. It's liquid kindness. It's liquid joy, excitement, happiness, generosity, faith. So that's all embodied in this thing that's contained inside of our spiritual or physical cup. And so as we're walking along, if our cup is empty, we're thirsty. We are feeling desperate and lonely and sad, and like life is meaningless, and it's noticeable. And so we are craving for someone to come fill our cup up. That's when we're looking for love or romance from a place of need and thirst. By the way, in sexuality, that is very noticeable through all these addictions that people are living through now. And it's very noticeable, and it's very unattractive. The opposite is when we have a full cup, a full soul, we are walking around in a way where every time we move or we bump into people, we have so much to give that it just spills over. So this overflow, this spillover of all these beautiful things becomes so magnetic and so attractive that it cultivates love around everywhere we go. And so that's the concept of overflow. And these spillovers, this magma that we're spilling over, these are literal handkerchiefs. That's how I try to connect this philosophy of going out and dropping handkerchiefs. It's not that we're looking for attention, it's that we have so much love to give, and we're just gifting it away with how we overflow, with how we are just so full of this beauty that we can't help but give it to everyone we're encountering along our day in a committed way and in random ways. And so if you think about it from a practical perspective, let's say for money. So if you're out in the world trying to make money because you want to get all these things thinking they're going to make you happy, or you want people's validation and that's why you want to make money, or you want to feel safe. So it's still about you. So that's how you go out and approach this worldly good, which is money, versus the opposite, where what you want to do is be the biggest gift you can to those around you. And so when you go out and work and are ambitious and trying to earn this worldly good, which is money, if you're doing it from a perspective of you just wanted to gift it, you just want to be able to give, to make more things or gift more things to those around you, and to live in a way that brings joy to those around you, then it's completely different and it's so much more enjoyable to acquire. Same thing with love. If you're out trying to get attention and approval from someone, you're not going to be very attractive and or enjoy the process, by the way. And so if you're out trying to gift yourself to friends, to potential prospects through courtship and through starting a family and through kids, then you're really going to enjoy and you're going to attract people that are much more aligned with your pursuit of holiness as well. But wait, the problem with much of this is that it can be sounding like trying to be nice. And trying to be nice is actually not what we're trying to do. Generosity is the most attractive quality in a man, but beware of fake nice guys. So nice guys do finish last, but nice women finish even laster. Wait, is that a word, laster? Let me explain a little bit of what the difference between what we're trying to do with the overflow versus this concept of being nice, because we're not trying to be nice. And so people can smell fake niceness miles away, and it's thirst and it's neediness, and it's not out of generosity or a generous character, and it's not out of an already abundant life. So there's a very, very big difference between people who are seeking approval and kind of using niceness as a manipulative tactic, even if it's subconscious, versus people who have so much to give and expect nothing in return, which unironically end up getting more in return anyways. But they're just out there giving stuff for free with no expectation, and it's so attractive and also so much more aligned with the principles of Christ. So let me make a bold claim here. The kindest, most generous people I know smile less than the most selfish and abusive people I know. So be careful not to confuse people who fake being nice, because we all know all these people who end up being the most toxic people in the world once they get what they want. And so it's really important, even in ministry, even in church. Like I've noticed how many people join ministries and join church to get honor, to get validation, to make people think that they're good people. But it has nothing to do with the quality of their character. But so just because someone is part of a parish program or a volunteering program does not mean they're going to be good, quality, strong, generous people. And so you still have to discern that. That being said, please do join these places. And it does help cultivate a spirit of generosity if you do it with the right mindset. And also, please do smile more. Even if you're already the kindest, most generous person in the world, smiling is fun, and it will also affect you in physiological ways that makes life more exciting. So let's also smile, okay? It's funny, I've been trying to think, reflecting about like people already in my life. Like, okay, let me think, who's the nicest person that I know, and is that it? And in thinking that, I realized, wait, no. There are people who act really nice, but I don't think they're actually the most generous, most beautiful souls. There's a disconnect. And so I really went into this understanding or thinking. I think a lot of it is performative. A lot of the people who are trying their hardest to be nice, some of them are very noticeably doing it out of a place of trauma. Like maybe that's how they would get attention from their caretakers growing up, or they're doing it out of neediness. Like they want my validation, specifically mine, or they're only specifically being really nice to people who they want something from, not to random strangers or to people who have nothing to give them in return. And so many times it's even out of insecurity. Like even if like they are trying really hard to be nice to everyone, it sometimes seems to be out of insecurity of not wanting to make anyone disapprove of them or even be mad at them. And so they're just playing a role, they're performing. And it's not out of generosity and it's not out of true kindness. And so it's hard to discern, but it just goes to show nice guys finish last, nice women finish last, not because generosity is unattractive, but because the fake generosity of insecurity is not the same thing we're trying to accomplish with a life of generosity and overflow and handkerchiefs, when we already have the confidence of holiness. Which takes me to my last point. What is holiness? And how does that have anything to do with handkerchiefs and overflow? Nothing will attract more people in love than someone cultivating real holiness. Maybe being able to squat your body weight and bench press your body weight, that might also be very attractive. I'm actually very attracted to that. But maybe it's not necessarily a different thing we're talking about. Okay, all right, so let me see where I can make this case. Holiness means becoming the best version of yourself. That's what I really narrowed it down to. Once you've cultivated yourself physically, which is where the squat comes in, mentally and spiritually. So it's not just about going to the gym and cultivating self-control and discipline with how we sleep and how we eat and all these things for our physical health. But it's also about how we study and protect our soul from doom scrolling and all this noise out in social media and in Hollywood and film, to actually get a more beautiful mind. And also how we cultivate our soul through our prayer life and how we limit and have self-control in our vices and addictions to cultivate a more beautiful soul. And so this is what growing into holiness and becoming the best version of ourselves is. But this is even more beautiful when it's made out of vocation. So when we're cultivating this not for self-aggrandizement, but in order to be able to better serve those around us through whatever vocation we're called to. And yes, like through our career and our service and our ministry is a sort of vocation. But for me, in my perspective, like from my pursuit of marriage, like as I'm discerning this idea, this dream of serving the world and serving God, someday through how I'm going to be able to serve a wife and possibly kids. And so how I'm cultivating myself physically, mentally, and spiritually so that I can one day better serve someone, another soul or a group of souls, as best as possible. That is holiness aligned with vocation. And so I think that becomes very, if not attractive, at least very purposeful. It gives our life meaning and direction. And it's out of love. It's out of overflow. The more we cultivate ourselves for serving, the more spillover, the more overflow we're going to have to give for others. And out of a place of abundance, not thirst and neediness and loneliness. And so, by the way, this is best practiced through friends. Like while we don't have that family of ours yet, like there is no better practice ground and training ground for all these elements of service and vocation than friendship. Not just ministry, which is great in the community that we cultivate in our church, in our parish, but actual friends. Friends are the gift that we get while we are training for our service in marriage. And for many people who are called to the religious life or to the single life, not marriage, then friendship becomes even more important and meaningful for them. And so I really think that ministry and friendship as a ministry, I would even point, which is part of what we're doing with Society of the 12, by the way. Just plug in this advertisement on there. We'll talk about Society of the 12. I forgot to mention that. Okay, that was the whole point of this podcast/video, and I didn't even talk about it. But we'll come back to that. And anyways, this is hopefully the first of many videos and reflections on perhaps practical and fun ways to cultivate overflow, to learn how to drop handkerchiefs, to learn how to build exciting, purposeful friendships and social life, and a life aligned with the calling of our soul and the imitation of Christ and our pursuit of God and happiness.